I use the phrase visual punctuation so much, and I stress it to all of my clients all the time. I figured I would take an opportunity to show you guys that I actually practice what I preach. And that integration of visual punctuation into my own work is evident the moment that you jump right onto my website. So I recently overhauled it and got some help from a lot of my colleagues and mentors. And one particular critique that I received had to do with my H1 and H2 headers at the very top of my website. And I had this really long sentence that was just on and on and on and on. And he's like, get rid of that crap and do something else. So we were brainstorming ideas back and forth. And I used the phrase upside down world all the time. And he kind of picked up on that. And the next thing you know, the H1 title becomes The World is Upside Down. And the H2 becomes, but your speaking business doesn't have to be. And that immediately sang to me. And the moment that he said that, I realized the gallery that I had at the top of the fold no longer worked with respect to what those phrases were saying. So I just started to rack my brain on how the hell am I going to visually punctuate that H1 and that H2 right at the top of the site. So immediately what popped into my mind is I need to remember through all of my sessions over the past couple of years and kind of think of one that's really dynamic, that's really over the top, that's very demonstrative, because we really want to stress the fact that the world is upside down. So the photo that I ended up choosing was from one of my longtime colleagues and clients, Ted Rubin, who is extremely demonstrative in his photos. So I was thinking back to one of the shoots that we had a couple of years ago, and the photo that popped up, let me show you here, was this one, where he is completely losing his mind. He's got his arms out. He's got the very excited face, and everything about this makes me feel like the world is upside down, right? That's the emotional sentiment that I'm getting from that photo. So that part is good. But then I thought to myself, well, that's good, but how can we make it better? So what I ended up doing is that flipping it upside down so that it actually literally translates to what the words are saying. And for me, at first, I thought, that's not going to work. It's going to be weird. People are going to hate it. But the moment that I started showing it to people, including the person that suggested that H1 and H2 header, he loved it. It's like, that's perfect. And the reality is, it does work really well, because when you look at this, that immediately catches your attention. So then when you scroll down, you get the whole rest of the vibe and the rest of the story. It basically starts a conversation. That's what this page does. It starts a conversation with people and leads people to either setting up a phone call with me or looking at my services in more detail. But the point is, it starts off right off the bat with a very powerful image that completely visually punctuates the sentiment of what's going on with that text that's around it. And that's something to keep in mind when you're putting together your website. How are you capturing their attention at the top? And are you visually punctuating the sentiment of whatever you're saying in your headline and then in your H2? Keep it in mind.